I am at Takaoka Station, one of the hub stations in Toyama Prefecture located in northern Japan. This was once one of the stations where many limited express trains connecting various regions came and went. In Japan, it is a basic rule that when a Shinkansen line opens, the parallel conventional JR lines are transferred to third sector railway companies. With the opening of the Hokuriku Shinkansen in 2015, a section of the Hokuriku main line was transferred to a third sector company and became the Ainokaze Toyama Railway, resulting in the total abolition of limited express trains. The trains of the Ainokaze Toyama Railway, which focus on local transportation, have few cars, and the long platforms are far too large for them. Being in Toyama Prefecture, which is a heavy snowfall area, the ends of the unused platforms are closed off with fences, and the lights are not turned on at night. The finish of the floor surface is also different from other areas, making me feel that the times have changed. On the fare table next to the ticket gate, the Ainokaze Toyama Railway lines are shown in green. The pink on the right is the Echigo Tokimeki Railway, the light blue is the IR Ishikawa Railway, and the pink on the left is the Happy Line Fukui, all of which are lines transferred to third sector companies. The blue represents JR West lines. Lines other than the Hokuriku main line were not transferred to third sector companies and remained with JR West. The routes starting from Takaoka Station are the Johana line and the Himi line, which I introduced this time. The Johana line is a route connecting Takaoka Station to Johana Station, with a total length of 29.9 kilometers, 18.6 miles. The Himi line is a route connecting Takaoka Station to Himi Station, with a total length of 16.5 kilometers, 10.3 miles. Since these lines are not parallel conventional lines, JR West has continued to operate them even after the opening of the Hokuriku Shinkansen. As a result, these two lines are isolated from the company's other lines. About 14 years after the Hokuriku main line became a third sector railway, it has been decided that these lines will be transferred to the Ainokaze Toyama Railway around 2029. First, I explain the history of these two lines along with the Hokuriku main line. Here is the route map for both lines. The first section to open was between Kuroda Provisional Station and Fukuno. That was in 1897. At that time, it was a private railway line called the Chuitsu Railway, and since the location of Takaoka Station had not been decided, a provisional station was set up about 200 meters, 660 feet away from where Shin Takaoka Station would later be built, serving as a temporary starting point. The line was sequentially extended, and the entire section between Takaoka and Johana opened in 1898. Immediately after that, the government-run Hokuriku line was extended from Kanazawa Station, and it reached Toyama Station the following year. The Himi line opened after this. The section from Takaoka to Fushiki opened in 1900. In 1912, the entire section between Takaoka and Himi opened. The Johana line and Himi line were constructed to transport agricultural products and seafood harvested along the lines. There are many rice paddies and fields along the Johana line, while the Himi line runs along the coast. Speaking of Hokuriku, it is famous for its seafood, and since these lines met the demands of such a region, it seems they were constructed as private railways. Looking at an old map of the Takaoka Station area, the city center spreads to the north of Takaoka Station. The track layout connects the Johana and Himi lines without requiring a switchback while skillfully avoiding the city center. In 1920, the entire Chuitsu Railway was nationalized. At this time, the section from Fushiki to Johana was named the Chuitsu Line, and the section from Fushiki to Himi was named the Himi Light Railway Line. Later, in 1922, the Himi Light Railway Line was renamed the Himi Line. The current state was established in 1942 when the Takaoka to Johana section was renamed the Johana Line, and the Takaoka to Fushiki section was incorporated into the Himi Line. Afterward, with the privatization of the Japanese National Railways in 1987, both lines became JR West lines. Neither line was specifically targeted for abolition during the National Railways era. Toward the end of the National Railways era, the problem of deficit-ridden local lines became serious, and lines meeting certain conditions, such as a passenger density of less than 4,000, were designated as selected local lines and targeted for abolition. These two lines were not designated as such and seemed to have a certain amount of demand, but the Johana and Himi Line Vitalization Promotion Council was established in the same year as the privatization, suggesting that the local community was aware of the need to promote usage. In 1992, one-man, driver-only operation began on both lines. A major turning point was the opening of the Hokuriku Shinkansen in 2015, which I mentioned earlier. In the nearby major cities of Toyama and Kanazawa, the Shinkansen stations were built in the same locations as the conventional line stations, but the Shinkansen station in Takaoka was built far from the conventional line station, and Shin Takaoka Station opened as a connecting station. While all trains stop at Toyama and Kanazawa, many trains pass through Shin-Takaoka, and the treatment is different. While this could be attributed to the difference in the size of the cities, the division of hub functions between Takaoka Station and Shin-Takaoka Station also affected urban development. In the autumn of 2015, sightseeing trains began operating on the Johana and Himi lines. From here, I look at the state along both lines and their future vision. Here are the timetables for each line. While the Ainokaze Toyama Railway has roughly 2 trains per hour, the Johana and Himi lines basically have 1 train per hour except during the morning and evening, and the Himi line has even fewer trains during some time slots. IC cards can only be used on the Johana line between Takaoka Station and Shin Takaoka Station. When using other sections, payment must be made in cash. The tracks at Takaoka Station form an at-grade crossing. Because the Johana line and Himi line are separated by the Ainokaze Toyama Railway, the Johana line arrives at and departs from platforms 1 and 2 on the south side of the station, while the Himi line arrives at and departs from platform 7 on the north side. Perhaps because the at-grade crossing is a bottleneck, there were no regular trains running directly between the two lines even before the Hokuriku main line became a third-sector railway. Being a heavy snowfall area, a Russell snowplow sits near the station. The regular trains on both lines use the Kiha 40 series introduced during the National Railways era. The Kiha 40 has driver cabs on both ends, allowing it to operate as a single car, and features single-leaf doors. The Kiha 47 has a driver cab on only one end, so it basically operates with 2 or more cars and features double-leaf doors. On both lines, these vehicles are operated while changing the number of cars according to the day of the week or the time slot. The route map inside the car shows only both lines and the connecting Ainokaze Toyama Railway line. It seems they are not operated on lines other than the Johana and Himi lines. On the Ainokaze Toyama Railway, new JR West cars were introduced before the transfer to the third sector, and old models are a minority, but it is different on the Johana and Himi lines. The Kiha 40 series is decreasing in number within Japan, and lines where a significant number are still operated have become rare. I depart from Takaoka Station. Even though it is midday on a holiday, there are only about a dozen passengers on the 2-car train. On the Johana line, all trains are one-man operated, and at some stations, only the doors of the first car open. I arrive at Shin Takaoka Station. Approximately 1.8 kilometers, 1.1 miles, from Takaoka Station, this is the connecting station with the Hokuriku Shinkansen. The Johana Line platform is not directly under the Hokuriku Shinkansen viaduct, but is slightly to the south. The Johana Line Shin-Takaoka Station has a simple structure with one platform and one track. The Johana Line is a single track for its entire length, and if there is no inconvenience for trains to pass each other, one track is sufficient. Since trains for both directions arrive and depart from this platform, there is a notice to prevent boarding the wrong train. The average daily number of boarding passengers at Shin-Takaoka Station in fiscal 2023 was 2,006. This is the second largest number after Takaoka Station's 2,915, making it second on the Johana and Himi Lines. As a station connecting to the Shinkansen, it shares passengers with Takaoka Station. There are no station staff on the Johana Line platform. There is only an IC card reader. For the Johana Line specifically, it is unmanned, but basically all doors seem to open. It is connected to the Shinkansen station by a passage, but it does not have a complete roof, so I get a little wet on snowy days. There are no passing tracks at the Shinkansen station. Of course, there are platform doors, and passing trains can run at very high speeds. About 2 trains arrive and depart per hour, and the fastest Kagayaki trains pass through. The entire area where rice paddies once spread has changed completely with the opening of the Hokuriku Shinkansen. Rotaries were built on the north and south of the station, equipped with bus and taxi stands and drop-off points for private cars. Near the station, there are also an Aeon Mall, an electronics retailer, and a home center. Vast parking lots are attached to these facilities, giving the station another side besides being a transfer hub between the Shinkansen and conventional lines. The station after Shin-Takaoka is Futatsuka Station. Trains can pass each other at this station. Also, there was a private siding to a nearby factory, and freight trains used to arrive and depart. The last section where freight trains were operated on the Johana Line was between Takaoka and Futatsuka. In 2015, with the timetable revision on the same day as the Shinkansen opening, the freight trains serving Futatsuka Station became unscheduled trains, and the operation of the private siding was suspended at the end of September that year. Futatsuka Station became unmanned the following month due to the suspension of freight handling, and with the abolition of the JR Freight Station in 2017, freight handling officially ended. The station building is a wooden structure from the time of opening. The traces of the blocked-off service window create a lonely atmosphere. The private siding itself still remains, and if I look toward the left side in the direction of travel from a Johana-bound train, I can see a bit of the snow-free track. Except for the area near Futatsuka Station, other places are covered in snow, so the rails are not visible. Although the official stance is that the private siding is suspended, it is unlikely to be revived in the future. The number of passengers decreased at Shin-Takaoka Station. The powerful engine sound of the Kiha 40 echoes. Because it is a local line, the maintenance level of the tracks is not as high as that of main lines, and the vehicle shakes quite a bit. Rice paddies are prominent along the line, giving a full local line feel. Perhaps because the opening date is old and it was originally a private railway line, traces of the platform being gradually raised are noticeable. The wooden members supporting the roof are very tasteful. I arrive at Tonami Station, a major station on the Johana Line. The facilities at this station have been renovated, and the members supporting the roof are made of steel frames. I pass an oncoming train. That one is also a 2-car Kiha 47 formation. The occupancy rate is not much different from this train. Mountains have begun to loom ahead in my view. Rural scenery, which is rare for this channel, continues. I depart from Fukuno Station. There are no more passengers in the second car. There are only a few people in the first car, offering a glimpse into the actual transportation situation. Because it runs at high speed on tracks with a maintenance level that is not very high, the vehicle shakes quite a bit. Here is the coupling section. It is quite rowdy. In about 50 minutes from Takaoka Station, I arrive at Johana Station, the terminus. The platform length is about 120 meters, 390 feet, but since the trains that arrive and depart are not that long, the areas where trains do not stop are not cleared of snow. The snow is piled up to a height not much different from my eye level while sitting, showing the different scale of a heavy snowfall area. The train parked next to me is a two-car Keiha 40 formation. The single-leaf doors are its trademark. The train I arrived on does not fold back immediately. Instead, that train departs first. Since there are only 4 minutes from when this train arrived until that train departs, I quickly look around the station premises. In the past, locomotives were swapped here, so the tracks extend a little further toward the end, but they are hardly used now and are covered in snow. The center of Johana is about 1 kilometer, 0.6 miles away from here. The reason seemed to be that a bridge would need to be built east of Johana Station to run the railway into the center, and that there was no land available to run the railway into the center in the first place. For some reason, I cannot buy tickets with this machine. The area along the Johana line is not mountainous, and the gradients are not that steep. As the track layout is relatively good, there are many sections where the train speeds up. Just as there was a road running parallel before Johana Station, the road network along the Johana line is well developed, and it is not an inconvenient area for using private cars. Expressways have also been built, and there are many easy-to-drive roads. I can see that these circumstances affect the number of passengers on the Johana line. There are no trains running directly between the Johana line and Himi Line, but trains running directly between the Johana line and Ainokaze Toyama Railway are operated in the morning and evening, running on the Ainokaze Toyama Railway tracks between Takaoka and Toyama. These trains existed even before the Hokuriku main line was transferred to the third sector. I wonder if such trains exist only on the Johana line because operating them on the Himi line would require a switchback at Takaoka Station. Of the 2 Toyama-bound trains in the morning, the first is suspended on holidays, and the second terminates at Takaoka on holidays. Both are 3-car formations, clearly intended for commuting to work and school. By the time the train arrives at Takaoka Station, the seats are full, and the number of standing passengers increases from Takaoka Station. Since there are only 2 doors per car, it is difficult to accommodate a large number of passengers, and it feels crowded relative to the occupancy rate. As it is the morning rush, the vehicles in the depot on the east side of Takaoka Station are also out. The train runs at high speed with its engine roaring on the Ainokaze Toyama Railway tracks, which use long rails and have a high standard of maintenance. The station just before Toyama Station is so crowded that the doors can hardly be closed, showing the great demand for Toyama Station. This vehicle does not fold back immediately, but is taken to a nearby depot before being operated toward Takaoka in the evening. Next, I board the Himi line. On the Himi line, IC cards cannot be used on the entire line. In the passage before the platform, there are many notices stating this fact. In addition to the notices in 3 languages, the station announcements also broadcast this information. This train makes a connection with an Ainokaze Toyama Railway train. As it was originally the Hokuriku main line, that train is quite crowded, and this train is no exception. Can I see the standing passengers reflected in the window? Here is the situation a while after departing Takaoka Station. The box seats of the 2-car train are filled, and there are many standing passengers. The situation is the same not only in the first car where I am, but also in the second car. Before I touch on the reason, the train arrives at Nomichi Station. A freight line branches off toward the end of Nomachi Station, and freight trains are operated between Takaoka Station and Nomachi Station. While the freight trains on the Johana line were for the demand of private sidings of companies along the line, the Himi line has a freight terminal about 2 kilometers, 1.2 miles away from Nomachi Station, making the demand larger. Freight operations have ended on the Johana line, but freight trains on the Himi line are still operated today. The station premises are wide, and although buried in snow, there are many side tracks for freight. The long platforms and ample effective track length seem to have been designed with the arrival and departure of freight trains in mind. On the other hand, the average daily number of boarding passengers is 145. It is 14th out of the 21 stations on the Himi and Johana lines, which is not very many. The third sector Mannyosen line runs parallel to the Himi line for a part of the way. Although the Mannyosen has more stations and takes more time, some people seem to use it because of the high frequency of trains. From Nomachi Station to the next station, Fushiki Station, factories are prominent along the line. The scenery is a bit different from that along the Johana line, making it understandable that freight demand is still alive. Incidentally, across the river, there is a base for a company called Japan General Recycling. This company handles the recycling of buses and railway vehicles, and buses that have finished their roles at various companies are kept there. In the past, railway vehicles were kept there, including the 419 series, which is famous as the bread slice train of JR West. JR Freight also holds a railway business permit from Nomachi to the neighboring Fushiki Station, but there has been no operating record in the past few years. Beyond the tracks that branched off before Fushiki Station, the area is covered in snow, and there is no trace of trains having run. In the past, a fairly rich variety of vehicles were kept here, but it is unknown if any remain today. After leaving the next station, Echukokobu Station, the train enters the highlight section of the Himi line. Yes, on the Himi line running along the coast, there are places where the sea spreads out along the line. Visible in the back left is a rock called Otoko-iwa, Male Rock. The weather is not very good, but the area is known as a tourist spot. The occupancy rate of this train was high for that reason, as most of the passengers are tourists. There is also a tunnel in this section. Among the Johana and Himi lines, a tunnel exists only on the Himi line, and this is the only one. The steep terrain along the coastline is apparent. There is also a Meiwa female rock, and they are about 1 kilometer, 0.6 miles apart. Unlike Otoko-iwa, which was quite far from the coastline, I feel like Meiwa might be reachable if I try hard. After the mountains along the Johana line, it is the sea along the Himi line. I arrive at the next station, Amaharashi Station. The number of boarding passengers at Amaharashi Station is higher than at Nomachi or Fushiki, averaging 93 per day. Tourists in the car get off the train one after another. The standing passengers got off in bulk, and the occupancy rate dropped to the point where seats became available. Near Amaharashi Station is the Amaharashi Coast, and the station even has an observation deck. In about 30 minutes from Takaoka Station, I arrive at Himi Station. The track branches before the station, but usually that track is not used and is not cleared of snow. Quite a few passengers get off at Himi Station, and the ticket window is somewhat crowded. A large sightseeing bus is also parked in the station square rotary, making it clearly more bustling than Johana Station. The center of Himi is slightly less than 1 kilometer, 0.6 miles away from here. In the center, there are restaurants offering seafood, and it is very popular along with the Amaharashi coast. Its popularity is not limited to Japan, and there are many foreign tourists on the train. The return train looks like this, with box seats completely filled and some standing passengers. And there is a train indispensable to the Johana and Himi Lines. That is this one, the Sightseeing Train Belmonte, which I mentioned briefly at the beginning. The name means beautiful mountains and sea in French, and it is often called Belmonte. This vehicle, which is a heavily modified Kiha 40 series car, began operation on October 10, 2015, to coincide with a tourism campaign held from October 2015. Initially, it was scheduled to operate until the end of February the following year, but it was subsequently extended and continues to operate today. Because the Johana line extends toward the mountains and the Himi line extends toward the sea from Takalaca Station, Belles Montagnes et Mai became the train's name. The concept is a rolling gallery, and the design is characterized by presenting the beautiful train windows of both lines, rich in the variation of mountains and sea, as if they were a single painting. It operates on Saturdays, Sundays, and some Mondays, with Saturdays focusing on the Johana line and Sundays on the Himi line. Because it considers connections with the Hokuriku Shinkansen at Shinkansen Station, a feature is that most Sunday trains also arrive and depart from Shinkansen Station. To use it, a boarding ticket and a reserved seat ticket are required, but since it is not a limited express train and the operating distance is not that long, it is nice that it is not that expensive. Traditional crafts from along the lines are decorated throughout the car. While Belmonte itself has a reserved seat system, it has straps and decorations imagining the traditional crafts of the area. And it has a unique operational feature. Some trains run directly between the Johana line and Himi line. I am on Belmonte number 1, which operates on Sundays. It starts from Tonami Station on the Johana line and ends at Himi Station on the Himi line, running directly between the two lines. For trains running directly between the lines, the stop time at Takalaca Station is between 20 and 27 minutes. The vehicle does not stay parked the whole time. It moves between the Johana line platform and the Himi line platform. In the case of Belmonte number 1, after letting off passengers up to Takaoka Station at the Johana line platform, it moves onto the Ainokaze Toyama Railway tracks. Then it boards passengers from Takaoka Station at the Himi line platform and departs. Only passengers holding a valid ticket for the section across Takaoka Station can remain inside the car during the shunting at Takaoka Station. After passing the railroad crossing on the east side of the station, the train stops once to change its direction of travel. The driver quickly moves through the car and advances the vehicle to the Himi line platform. Most of the passengers are foreign tourists, and there are almost no Japanese people. I can see the high name recognition of Himi and Amaharashi. The fact that there are time slots with long intervals between local trains on the Himi line is also related to the operation of Belmonte. On this day, Belmonte number 1 was fully booked from Takaoka onwards, so even if people wanted to ride, they could not. There is also a boarding commemorative stamp inside the car. The plate with the boarding date at the very rear can also be taken out, and some people take commemorative photos next to the vehicle while it is stopped at the station. And the charm of Belmonte is not just the vehicle and the scenery. Plans for enjoying meals and alcohol are prepared, including a plan where a chef serves freshly made sushi. There are also sales on the day, but since the number is limited, it is a rule to book in advance. The sea viewed while eating sushi is different from the sea viewed from a local train. Belmonte stops temporarily at a place where Minaiwa can be seen. This is a service not provided on regular trains. There is even a sign saying Belmonte at the stop position. Incidentally, the fact that the sea looks like it is steaming in the distance is a phenomenon called kiarashi, steam fog. Cold air from the land moves to the sea or river, cooling the water vapor on the surface and creating a temperature difference, which generates fog. Since the Himi Line has many such photogenic views, it is said that the sections running on the Himi Line are more popular for Baru Manta. I arrive at Himi, the terminus. After the interior is serviced, the train becomes a return train for Tokuoka. In the autumn of 2025, Baru Manta reached its 10th anniversary since starting operation. Initially intended to be for a limited time, Baru Manta has become completely established in the region. There are also banners and panels for the train at Himi Station, playing an important role as a tourism resource. And a turning point is approaching for the Johana and Himi Lines. It has been decided that they will be transferred to the Ainokaze Toyama Railway around 2029. It started in January 2020. JR West made proposals such as conversion to LRT to the local governments along the lines. Compared to when JR West was established, the number of users on both lines had dropped to about 60%. The passenger density in 2023 was 2,540 for the Johana line and 2,175 for the Himi line. JR West considers lines with a passenger density of less than 2,000 as not fully demonstrating the characteristics of railways in terms of mass transportation, and both lines do not fall into that category. Even after a section of the Hokuriku main line became a third sector railway due to the Shinkansen opening, the Johana and Himi lines remained with JR West, and low profitability was an issue. Since a passenger density of 4,000 was a benchmark when local lines were abolished during the National Railways era, it could be said that such a discussion is unavoidable in the not-too-distant future. Behind the proposal for LRT conversion is the success of the Toyama Port Line, also in Toyama Prefecture, which increased convenience through LRT conversion. In the LRT conversion of the Toyama Port Line, the third sector Toyama Light Rail was initially the operator, but in 2020, the company was absorbed and merged into the Toyama Chiho Railway, and the Toyama Port Line became a line of that company. However, since LRT conversion costs a huge amount of money, the conversion of both lines was passed over. The local governments along the lines agreed that increasing demand for both lines requires the introduction of new vehicles, direct operations, increased train frequency, and making IC cards usable. Since those are not easy under JR's leadership, the trend shifted toward transferring to a third sector company. In November 2023, the transfer to the Ainokaze Toyama Railway was officially decided. At this time, a draft for the Johana and Himi Line Railway Business Restructuring Implementation Plan was presented. The Railway Business Restructuring Implementation Plan is a plan that specifically defines business contents to maintain transportation and improve convenience by changing the business structure with the support of local governments for lines that are in a situation where services utilizing the characteristics of railways as mass transportation cannot be sustained. This is certified by the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism, and businesses based on a certified plan are eligible for subsidies and tax incentives. On both lines, the plan is to improve convenience by increasing frequency or adding cars in the morning and evening. Also, it is being considered to increase the frequency during the day from about 1 per hour to about 2 per hour and adopt patterned timetables. Changing the track layout at Takaoka Station to allow both lines to run directly and easily is also under consideration. The period of the restructuring project is from February 2024 to the end of March 2034. The total project cost is 38.2 billion yen, about $250 million. It has been decided that JR West will contribute 15 billion yen, $100 million, which is an exceptionally large amount for a contribution to a line being transferred to the third sector. On the Johana and Himi Lines, IC cards are scheduled to become usable in all sections this March, which is a fairly large investment for a line being transferred to the third sector. The transfer to the third sector was not a proposal from JR to the local governments, but rather the opposite. The contribution of 15 billion yen can be said to be the result of JR responding to the enthusiasm of the local governments wanting to realize a new transportation system. In addition, it has been decided that all vehicles currently in operation will be replaced. The Kiha 40 series has been many years since manufacture and is an old model for a diesel car in Japan. By refreshing the vehicles at the same time as revising the timetables, the aim is to increase the number of users. On the other hand, the treatment of Baromanta is undecided. As it contributes to attracting customers as a regional tourism resource, I hope it continues to run even after the transfer to the Ainokaze Toyama Railway.